Yo, what is happening? This is Jason from the Jason C's Band. Actually, I don't know if there's a "the" on the front. I don't think so. I think it's just Jason C's Band. But for some reason, when I'm saying it, I always say, this is the Jason C's Band. I don't know what's correct. When I fill things in, I just say Jason C's Band. Here's an interesting thing. I used to call, before my band was like really solidified with the group of guys I have now that have been with me a long time, I used to call it Jason C's Music. And my last name is C's, like S-E-E-S, like he sees something, like he visualizes it. So I was like, well, that's kind of cool. It's like some kind of a form of synesthesia, right? Synesthesia is this condition where people like can see or they hear colors, or they can like, you can like hear colors. It's like somehow you have a condition, and a lot of really creative people have this thing called synesthesia. Anyway, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. It's kind of like a synonym for synesthesia. Jason sees music, like I can see music. And no one got it. No one got it. They're like, what? Synesthesia? You on dope, kid? And I said, no, it's a thing. Look it up. I'm smart. No one wanted to look it up. Anyways, a long story short, this is Jason from Jason C's Band. And this is audio blog number 2. And the idea here is I pick a song or two, or no, just one. We're going to do one song per blog. I'm going to pick a song kind of at random that I feel like playing. And I'm going to play it, and then I'm going to talk about where the song came from, or what it's about, or what inspired it, or how I wrote it, maybe how I recorded it. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just kind of free-flowing here. When I play the song, it's just me in front of a mic. There's no studio magic, really. I got it running through one nice preamp and a decent compressor, so it's not too unpleasant to the ears. But the first one, I didn't do any verb. I didn't do anything, so it's just me raw in a room. So if it ain't perfect, it is what it is. I ain't a perfect musician, not even close. Anyway, the song I chose is a song from what album is this on? It's on Grizzly Bear EP, which was two albums ago. It's available everywhere if you want to listen to it. Spotify. Yeah, Spotify. That's what everyone's doing now. That's what all the cool kids are doing. I do Spotify. If you're not on Spotify, if you're not using that, like I used to do Apple Music. Well, first I was on iTunes, and then that was cool because you like still had possession of your music, like the actual file, so it kind of felt like your CD case. I still have huge CD cases of CDs. But then I switched. I'm like, well, I'm not finding new music as well, et cetera, et cetera. It's too much work. So I switched to Apple Music, which is like their streaming service. And that was pretty cool. I enjoyed it, and it got me sort of out of I used to be obsessed. I'd just listen to albums, like start to finish, because I liked the way albums come together, because I'm an artist too, and I like to put together albums, and things like the order of the song, all that stuff's important to me. The order the songs come in, the story that tells, and how the ebb and flow of the album goes. And I would like to see how artists do that too. But it's 2018. It's a modern day digital environment. And so I said, I'm going to embrace streaming, even though they pay their artists shit and it's essentially stealing our music. And so I got on Apple Music, which is their streaming service. And that was cool. I learned about new artists and started listening to individual songs. The streaming models really like made the single the thing. Anyway, and then I switched to Spotify, and Spotify is like a completely different thing. Like playlists and the way you look at new music, and it's kind of like a mix between a social media platform and a music streaming platform. You can engage with artists on there and find other artists and find promo people. It's way cooler. It's way more in depth. If you're a music nerd, Spotify is the place to be for sure. Even if you're not, it's probably the place to be, especially if you're not on an iPhone. But even if you are on an iPhone, the app works great, doesn't drain your battery. Anyways, I try to push everyone to Spotify to listen to our music because that seems to be the platform that's emerging as the dominant one. So, hey, I go with the flow, man. That's what we're doing. Anyways, long story longer. The song I chose is 2 Beers and an Ambien. It's actually got kind of an interesting backstory that was a big part of my life. For people that know or maybe didn't know, I was in the military for about 10 years. I was a pilot of a large cargo airplane for the United States Air Force called a C-17. Which took me all over the world. Saw good things, saw lots of bad things. Flew them from 2005 to 2012 was when I was technically a mission-ready pilot. And so I was right in the heat of the two big wars, Afghanistan, Iraq. I know there's a lot of stuff going on now, but from a ops tempo perspective, nothing we've been doing is quite as crazy as what we were doing then. And anyway, I'll tell a story about it after I play the song, but or kind of where the song came from, but that's sort of the premise. And this is 2 Beers and an Ambien by Jason C's band. Oh, Howie wants back in. 1 second. Come in. Go lie down somewhere. Go lie down. I talked about it in the other audio blog that I've done, but I have this dog. Maybe I should have said that in the other one. Howie is my dog, and he's been with me a long time, and he's getting older. But he's a big, 120-pound black lab, and he's got a real funny personality. He's like my best friend in the whole world. He's a good friend, but I said this last time, but he just insists on being in my music room, with me. Doesn't want to be with me any other time of the day or whatever, but, he's a kind of an independent soul. But for whatever reason, when I'm in here and recording, he wants to be in here with me to ruin my recordings. Anyways, this song is called 2 Beers and an Ambien. It's by Jason C's band. It comes off the Grizzly Bear EP. Check it out. It's on Spotify. It's on iTunes. It's on whatever platform. Deezer. Rhapsody. There's so many out there. Anyways. What do you do at night? The demons are inside. When all you see is crime, the illusion is in time. You can't forget your sin. 2 beers and an Ambien. Life ain't all you thought. You trust who you should not. He stabbed you in the back. You took another crack. It's okay, your heart is 10. 2 beers and an Ambien. Don't worry about the little warning sticker. This way you can forget just a little bit quicker. Don't worry about the little warning sticker. This way you can forget just a little bit quicker. Life ain't all you thought. Truth ain't what you've been taught. You can't stop feeling sick. Man, things should change quick. Notify my next of kin. 6 beers and an Ambien. Alright, so that was 2 Beers and an Ambien by Jason C's band. I kind of screwed it up. I don't know where, but it started to feel wrong. That happens. But I thought this audio blog thing, I would just kind of let the performances be. If they're not perfect or not great, or if I don't like them, I'm going to let it be, because that's one of the new things I'm working on as an artist, is letting the performances speak for themselves instead of like gnats assing every single fine detail and making sure my vocals are never out of tune or whatever. Trying to be more of a free-flowing artist, not a jam band artist, but kind of just more accepting of what comes out. Anyways, that song was 2 Beers and an Ambien. It was written a long time ago, back when I was in the United States Air Force. I was a pilot on an airplane called a C-17 for about 10 years. And I was flying in the war zones a lot, and we didn't deploy into the war zones because the airplane we flew was too expensive. They couldn't leave them in theater, but we deployed to a place outside of the theater, just outside of Iraq, called Qatar, or the news people call it Qatar if you're down with the CNN. And the thing about like wars, and the thing about being in the military and stuff, is like there's a ton of downtime. Like your life is just burning away while you're waiting for airplanes to get fixed or this or that. It's just a massive operation, a massive bureaucracy, a massive... Anyway, there's just so much downtime, and like, so you just are constantly waiting for the, next time to go eat at the chow hall, or next time you could go to the gym. You go to the gym a lot. You do whatever you can to kill time. Well, I learned real quick that I never left on a trip on the C-17 without a guitar. And that's really where I started writing songs. Like, I was sort of dabbling as a musician in college. I kind of played bass with some buddies, and it wasn't really anything real. There was no real creativity happening. You're just kind of all playing the same note over and over in a rotation, That's one of the places I really started to despise the concept of jamming. Just jamming. But anyway, I started taking a guitar with me when I was in the military on the road. And I already kind of knew how to play, and that's when you had so much downtime. I started writing. I started writing about what I was seeing, And here's an interesting thing about being in Qatar. We were allowed to have 2 drinks a day. 2 drinks a day, 2 beers. That was their way. Because in Muslim countries, they're not big on alcohol. They don't like that shit. That shit sends you straight to hell, and you don't get your virgins or whatever. But in Muslim countries, they don't like alcohol. So the deal they made with the Qataris, and this was on like an Air Force base, and we were like totally secluded from the population. We never interacted with them. We weren't like in Qatar. We were in this like middle of the desert in Qatar at this base they built. So it's not like but they still didn't want alcohol even to be in the vicinity of their thing. But anyways, they granted us 2 beers, and they monitored it super closely. That way, and it wasn't just the Qataris. I think it was like they didn't want a bunch of soldiers running around being blacked out, drunk. But anyways, the other thing that we would get, because our hours were so screwed up and we worked so hard, and like, we would go on missions sometimes where you were up for 30 hours. Like, that wasn't uncommon at all. So your sleep cycles would get real screwed up. So they gave us, and I never took any of these things because it just wasn't for me. I didn't like the way they make me feel. But they gave us Ambien or its equivalent to sleep. And they also gave us like a caffeine pills essentially to stay up. And I never took any of it. I'd take a Red Bull with me or 2. And, if I really got in trouble and tired, you'd pound a Red Bull and it'd get you through that last landing or whatever. But here's the thing about Ambien and some of those sleeping pills. You mix them with a couple beers, 2 beers, and now you're having a pretty good time. So I watched people, this became like a thing while we were deployed all the time. Like you'd go get your 2 beers, you'd drink them, you'd pop your Ambien. And I mean, it was sort of entertaining because it's like a downers on top of downers. But anyways, it was essentially this kind of backdoor way of self-medicating, which is a huge problem in the military, which is kind of understandable. I mean, I don't want to get too deep into it, but, it's kind of a shitty environment and stuff. So I wrote this song about it, I just was watching all these people essentially self-medicating all around me, and kind of skirting the rules. And I remember one time sitting at the chow hall and we're eating, I don't remember what we were eating, but, this kid, one of the enlisted kids that I flew with did his 2 beers and an Ambien thing and just passed out upright and just face down, right? Like almost like a cartoon, like face down in his bowl of spaghetti or whatever. And we had to carry him out of there before someone that was a position of authority saw him and ruined his career for something stupid, And so anyways, I kind of was inspired to write this song about 2 beers and an Ambien, and I said, don't worry about the warning sticker. Like, don't worry about the warning sticker on your bottle of Ambien that says don't mix with alcohol. I said, this way you can forget just a little bit quicker. And I think we were all sort of trying to forget that we were in this environment. None of us wanted to be there anyways, and it was hot. Qatar in the summer is like 125 with 100% humidity. I mean, it's just the most, I don't know how anyone ended up there as a civilization, but it's the most miserable fucking place on planet Earth that I've ever been is Qatar. Just from a temperature and humidity perspective. I mean, it makes Houston look like a joke. Anyways, the point is, I took a guitar with me when I was in the military everywhere I went, and I wrote a lot of songs about what I was seeing and feeling when I was playing war over there. And I don't like to say I was playing war, really, because here's the thing, like, there was soldiers in the Army and the Marines that were doing the real work, and we were sort of supporting them, taking them the stuff they need. But there was no real threat out there that was gonna risk my life for the most part. C-17s were a very safe airplane, and the insurgencies and stuff didn't really have the capability to really touch you. So I didn't really even think of it as being at war. It was just a job, But the reality was there was kids kicking down doors in Baghdad and stuff, and they're the real heroes, and they're the guys who are doing the real work. That kind of urban warfare kind of thing gets real ugly real fast, especially in like 07, 08. So that's kind of my war story. I don't like to say it's my war story because I don't really feel like I'm some kind of a military warrior that you need to say thank you to for your service, because I was just flying jets because it's what I wanted to do, and it was fun. And honestly, it was fun. It was an adventure, in a lot of ways. A lot of ways it wasn't fun too. But anyways, that was 2 beers and an Ambien. It was inspired by flying cargo airplanes around the Middle East and Afghanistan, and some of the things I saw there. So hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you did, hit the like button, I guess. Does that matter? Not really. Listen to us, listen to some of our music, throw it in a playlist or whatever on Spotify. That's really what we care about. We kind of don't really do this to try to monetize it for the most part. We just love making music together, the 4 of us, and I love writing songs, so it's what I do to get by and to do my thing, and it's what makes me happy, So, thanks for listening. I really appreciate it if you follow us on any of the social media stuff or whatever. You can hear about shows coming up and all that. But this was audio blog number 2. Look at me. The future is now. Jason C's band, roaring into the future with audio blogs. That was 2 beers and an Ambien. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll talk to you next time. All them dudes, you don't wanna miss your chance to grab my lens while we do the robot.